Welcome back to Never Did It. I'm Brad Garoon. I'm here with Jake Ziegler. Jake Ziegler is here with his wife, Meghan Valerie Fischer. Hi, Meghan.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on. All season 3, Ladies Wow, we've had guests to help inform us about women-directed movies of the last century. We skipped last week because there were just too many movies that we were covering to have a guest, but now we're back and we have our best female guest returning from ranking Sofia Coppola movies. That was a hard one for y'all, I'm sure. For me, they're all number 2.
That's right.
Why don't we start with one of your favorite movies, which is Julie Taymor's Frida. I'd never seen this before. Obviously, Jake, you have, but I'm more interested in hearing, Meghan, when did you first see this and why do you love it so much?
Well, I grew up watching this movie. Believe it or not. It was just on HBO or Cinemax or whatever. I think I caught my mom watching it once and I was like, what is this? And because of this movie, I found out who Frida Kahlo was as an artist, and it provided a little bit of education. I was surprised watching it this time how much of it actually is true or really did happen to her. But the movie did lead to her being my favorite artist ever. She's all over our home. I have many coffee mugs, t-shirts. She watches me while I sleep.
The thing on the wall, yeah.
The thing on the wall, yes.
Yeah.
I love her. I think she was such a strong person and an incredible artist who truly did paint things that she saw the way that she saw them, I think that's such a special thing for somebody to be able to do, is to let us see through their eyes. She was born and raised in Mexico, and then she came to the US with Diego in her life. So she kind of walked two worlds for just a little bit there while she visited. And it's very interesting, her perspective being a Mexican at that time in America, through her paintings and stuff. And she was also not fully Mexican. Her dad was English or
German Jewish.
No, he wasn't.
That's what he said in the movie.
But it's not true.
Is that not right?
Yeah, it's not true.
Everything you're saying is right. He claimed to be Jewish. I thought we'd get into this later, but I don't know the legitimacy of these folks who checked his claim. Kahlo, throughout her life, said that she had a Jewish father.
Yeah.
And in 2006, that was, at least by these two German genealogists, debunked. And he turned out to be Lutheran, I want to say, or some other L-word religion. It's interesting to watch that go through that through line in the movie, which is not really examined, except for this one-off line. But I actually read that before I saw the movie, so I wasn't excited and then devastated.
You mean like I just was.
Right, exactly. I had more like, oh, that's a bummer. And then they didn't know yet in 2002. It was 4 years until they would find out. Jake, when did you first see this movie? Was it an Oscar contender?
It was, yeah. I can talk about the awards it did get nominated for a little bit later on in here. But yeah, it did really well at the Oscars. It had 6 nominations. So I saw it at the time it came out. It was 2002. And so I certainly saw it. I'm pretty sure, we were in college then. So I'm pretty sure I got it, I walked over and rented it from Video Hits Plus and brought it home then. So yeah, I saw it for the first time over 20 years ago. And I've maybe only seen it maybe one other time since then. So it was pretty fresh for me still. And maybe it was because I watched a documentary on her last year, because it was an Oscar shortlisted documentary. And so that I think maybe kept it a little fresh in my mind, where I'm watching the movie. It's oh yeah, I remember this a lot better than I thought I was going to.
That tracks with Jake lore.
Yeah. It's been well established over 3 seasons.
Why don't we leave it to Meghan, our very special guest who's only been on twice, to tell us what happens in the movie Frida from 2002 by Julie Taymor.
It starts with her as a young adult, in, I want to say high school.
I think it's college, yeah.
She's getting an education.
Mm-hmm.
And, she has this horrific bus accident one day when she's on her way home with her boyfriend. And the bus accident is literally what kicks off her career as an artist, because she's crippled. In her own words, breaks her pelvis, she breaks her leg, her foot's all messed up, and that would cause her pain for her entire life. She starts painting pictures when she's in bed. Her parents give her paint supplies, and it just kind of starts. But while she was in school, she met Diego Rivera, an artist, a muralist really at the time. And he was painting this mural at her school. And, she finds him again later after she's healed from the bus accident and asks him to look at her art, because I think at the time it may have been the only artist who she knew. He does look at it and he gives her an honest opinion and says it's great. And, in anything that I've ever read with her, about her and Diego, that's very true. He was always her biggest fan. He gives her encouragement and, she joins them in the Communist Party and they become communist comrades, friends, and then lovers. And, she begins this relationship with Diego, which is depicted in her artwork even. And throughout the movie, I think it's really interesting the way that the director shows her art as like a living image almost. You see, there's a part where you can see like the dress out the window or like her foot in the tub. These are references to paintings that she did. I think that's really cool and a nice choice stylistically. But anyway, they become comrades and friends and lovers, and then they decide to get married against everybody's, because Diego, even though he looks like a frog, he's a ladies' man.
How is that guy a ladies' man? I mean, I even I said to Megan during the movie, I said, Alfred Molina is not like the world's most attractive man, and he is like a Hemsworth next to the actual Diego Rivera. He was not an attractive man at all, but he pulled.
They did their best with the prosthetics, but you cannot capture the visual ugliness of this man. It's a real testament to women don't want the same things that men want to see that this guy pulled and to see the women that he pulled. To be fair, Frida Kahlo was an attractive woman. Salma Hayek is one of the most beautiful women to ever live, and just slapping a unibrow on her forehead doesn't exactly make her look like Frida Kahlo.
I thought that at one point because they showed this like close up of her face, and I'm like, you know what? That's just pretty Salma Hayek with a few extra brow hairs in between. I was like, that's.
It's like watching Ready Player One, and the woman with that small tiny mark in her face is supposed to be like grossly deformed.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time Ready Player One has ever been referenced on this show.
I think it has, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Might be the last. We'll see. Maybe we'll do a Spielberg ranking when Disclosure Day comes out. Yeah, I watched it with Annie, and she was like, the brow looks fake. And I'm like, I think it's just Uncanny Valley, and you can't unsee how beautiful Salma Hayek is, and even especially was in 2002. We just watched Magic Mike The Last Dance, and I was like, dang, she has still got it. And now she's a billionaire, no less. So
that's right.
What can she do? So I know you both really, Jake, I saw your Letterboxd review. For movies you like, that was pretty measured, I think, your review of it, by your standards. I liked this a lot, especially the first half hour. Everything that has to do with her trolley accident was so interesting. The stop motion animation with the Day of the Dead characters, like with the little tongue sticking out. I even wonder if the guy from Mad God helped to make that segment. Yeah. I bet he did. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't. The visual effects legend Phil Tippett had no involvement with the 2002 movie Frida. You'd be forgiven, or at least I'm forgiving us for thinking that he may have. I thought that was amazing. I loved all the surrealist aspects of the movie when she would slip into... I thought there'd be more when she got into heroin or morphine or whatever it was that she was using to dull her pain. But I loved when, you would see her conceiving of her paintings, and she'd be in the paintings, and then the paintings would be alive and then drift into being paintings themselves. I thought all of that was so cool. And I found myself wishing that there was more of that. And I think if the movie were to come out today, there would be more of that. And I said this in my Letterboxd review, and I think it might be true, but it's just conjecture on my part. I feel like it's a Weinstein thing that it wasn't more like that because he wanted this to be an Oscars play. It's a Miramax movie. A very famous story from this movie is that he harassed Salma Hayek, sexually harassed her, tried to get her to sleep with him, and then pressured her into being in the full frontal lesbian scene. So his bullshit peppers the movie already. I have a feel I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, this shit ain't gonna get Oscars unless I take out all the weird stuff. I've never seen any other Julie Taymor movies. I know she did a few that are very psychedelic and trippy. Is this sort of like her calling card?
Wasn't Across the Universe hers?
Yeah. Yes.
I've seen that several times. It was very much in my adolescence. It was literally how all my friends found out about the Beatles, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is pretty trippy. It does get a little crazy. Like, they do like Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, and it's like, oh my God, I remember feeling like I was on acid.
Yeah.
Having never done it.
There's some of that. And then I've seen Titus was another one she did with Anthony Hopkins. There's some trippy stuff in that movie. And she did a version of The Tempest also with Helen Mirren. I haven't seen either of them in a while, but yeah, she's really, and then she did Lion King on Broadway. That was her big thing. She
know that.
She developed that. Like she was the original kind of developing force behind that, which is hugely visual, and a lot of different, lots of different things going on all the time. So yeah, I would say that's that style is indicative of what she does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to imagine then that Weinstein got in there with his, what do they call him? Edward or Harvey Scissorhands?
Yeah, Harvey Scissorhands. Yeah.
Yeah. And chopped up the movie. Have either of you seen the Lion King's stage production?
No.
I did. I saw it at Miller Auditorium in Kalamazoo, actually, when they came through Western. Yeah. Viv and my sister's kid and I and my sister, we went together. The girls were pretty little, but yeah, it's awesome. It was really cool.
So Megan, I'm going to make you super jealous. Not only have I seen The Lion King on Broadway. I have been to the Frida Kahlo house in Mexico City. It is a very cool, very, very cool museum. It is the house that is depicted, and I'm sure filmed in the movie.
It is.
It's a cool experience, except for how crowded it gets. I mean, Mexico City is just an amazing city. What I found interesting was the Kahlo house is much less sympathetic to Diego than this movie was. And I would say that the movie was, I wouldn't say the movie was sympathetic to Diego completely. It shows you what his offenses were, one of which I would say is completely unforgivable, and yet she forgives him, which is wild.
Yeah.
The exhibit is like, Diego did this and Diego did this, and she was in so much pain and he didn't write her back, and that kind of stuff. In fact, I found, I don't know. You mentioned earlier how much of this is real. It seems like a lot, but I wonder how much of him asking for her back near the end was real.
When they got older, I think their perspective of things may have changed. I have a copy of Frida Kahlo's diary that was translated from Spanish to English, and she writes about it, and it didn't matter how many times he betrayed her or did something awful, she still loved him. And there was something, I think, inside of her that felt like they were just meant to be, they were connected, and he was her Diego. And that's how she referred to him, as my Diego, and things just had changed for them. And maybe he was just tired of being Diego, a dick. He wanted the woman he loved back. And I think he always probably did love her, but maybe he didn't know how. Men didn't talk about their feelings. They didn't give a crap. And that kind of love and those kind of relationships weren't what they saw, But regardless, he was not great to her for a lot of their marriage and a lot of their relationship. He probably could have been more supportive and understanding and a better husband and not cheated on her so gosh darn much. But,
especially with her sister.
With her freaking sister, I know.
Jake, where are you at now with the movie, now that you've seen it after your big gap?
I think it's still excellent. I think it's very good. I certainly agree with you. I wouldn't have put together. I try not to think about Harvey Weinstein, as much as possible. So I would not have put that together. That he probably had his hand in changing a lot of the things. I'd be very curious to see what Julie Taymor could make. Like you said, if it was made today, or if it was made by a different studio who didn't have as much of an influence as Weinstein would have had at the time. But I still think it's very good. The performances are terrific. It's the best Salma Hayek has ever been. You can tell that part meant a lot to her playing it. I think Alfred Molina is terrific. Might also be the best he's ever been, although I really love his Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
I was going to say, Doc Ock, don't you dare.
Doc Ock is so good, and he's also in this Lone Scherfig movie with Carey Mulligan called In Education, where he plays her dad, and he's just terrific in that too. So,
but also, he has the greatest cameo ever in Boogie Nights.
Yes. His part, which we just watched recently. Yeah, we just saw that part. His part in Boogie Nights is incredible. Alfred Molina, he's just one of those guys who, when you have him in your movie, he's just gonna, he's gonna elevate everything around it. He's so good. He's so believable. And I got almost annoyed at the time that he didn't get an Oscar nomination for this movie, because she did. Salma Hayek was nominated. I'll just run through the rest of these now while I'm talking about it. It was also nominated for Best Art Direction, Costume Design, Song, the song that plays at the end, Burn It Blue, and then it won the awards for Best Makeup and for Best Original Score. So it was pretty well received by the Oscars. If there were 10 Best Picture nominees at the time, I'm sure that would have, this would have snuck into it, but there's only 5 then. But yeah, I really thought Alfred Molina was a little bit underappreciated in this movie. And then you've got Ed Norton, uncredited, showing up, doing the Rockefeller part, which, he's good in everything too. That was just a perfect little part for him. Yeah, so I think it's very good. I gave it 4 stars. That's what I had it at back then, and that's what I have it at now. I think it's quite good.
You left out a very important cast member and a returning character on Never Did It, Jeffrey Rush, as Leon Trotsky, who we reviewed in a previous movie. He was Snowball in Animal Farm. What did we say was left out of Animal Farm? Was the persecution and execution of Trotsky, which I guess this is a great companion to Animal Farm, because you can see what actually happened to him. Mm-hmm. I did not think Jeffrey Rush was great actually in this role, and not entirely his fault. I thought the makeup was very bad, and the goatee looked very, very fake. Also, and this is a problem because of Frida's real life, the age gaps between her and her lovers were vast. She was 20 years younger than Diego and 30 years younger than Trotsky. So it's uncomfortable watching her hook up with these guys. And she is very sexual in the movie, which is also such an interesting way for the movie to go. Seems like that was very Weinstein influenced. I'm not complaining per se. I enjoyed watching the film, but it is odd to see these love scenes with her and these gross men. But that was her life. It's wild. It is crazy to know. I didn't know that Frida Kahlo had a real steamy affair with Leon Trotsky shortly before he died.
That I had forgotten in between scenes. I did not remember that.
And don't forget, like, Josephine Baker and a lot of women, too. She slept with, I mean, she was a bisexual woman. And during that time, that's, like, scary. But
So
good for her. Love it.
It's interesting you bring it up because, well, it's portrayed in the movie, but it's really only touched on, and it sort of seems like the movie makes it seems like she's doing it to get back at Diego and not so much because she's expressing her sexuality. Again, another thing I think that would be handled very differently if the movie were to come out today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Oh, Diego Luna also pops up. Little baby face Diego Luna.
Yeah, we saw his name roll up on the credits, and I go, don't worry, he'll be here in 2 seconds.
And Ashley Judd.
Terrible. She's awful.
I
so
couldn't
distracting.
understand. Yeah, I couldn't understand why she was cast, and then you know, that is the one time that I figured I was like, oh, because Harvey Weinstein wanted her in this movie, and he tried to, you know, he assaulted, harassed, whatever, you know, her too. So I was like, there's the connection. Yeah,
she was so miscast. One thing I thought, one thing that I think would also maybe be different if this movie were to come out now is I really thought this movie should have been in Spanish. Because it takes place primarily in Mexico between Mexicans. I don't know if Molina speaks Spanish. I know that he has a Spanish parent, from Spain, Spanish parents, so maybe he does. The rest of the cast probably could have, except Ashley Judd, who played an Italian, very much not pulling that off. And the woman who played
Valerie Galino, who is Italian.
Yeah, exactly. So
Mexican,
I've had such a crush on her ever since I saw Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee. She's great, but I'm sure most people know her from
Rain Man.
Yeah, she's totally in Rain Man, but I was going to say Hot Shots.
Oh, yeah, Hot Shots, for our age group,
A mystifying cameo, kind of. Antonio Banderas popping up for 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And he actually asked me, like, what role is he going to play in this? And I was like, oh, I'm sure more than this, and we never see him again.
Nope.
Just literally some guy at a table.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about Morvern Callar.
Yeah.
This is the second time that I have asked Jake to watch a Lynne Ramsay movie for this podcast. Lynne Ramsay is the queen of making you feel real bad.
You don't say.
That's a way to put it,
Yeah, all her movies do that. She, for those who don't know, she made her debut with Ratcatcher, which is a bummer. Moved on to this, then made We Need to Talk About Kevin, which is the bummer of all bummers, a movie that's incredibly hard to watch now for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is it's the eponymous Kevin, the actor who plays him. And then she made one of my favorite movies that Jake didn't like quite as much because it's also quite a tough watch, You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix. And this year she released Die My Love, which is a total mindfuck. And also, like, there's no way you can leave that movie feeling good.
No.
You guys both saw that?
Oh, yeah.
It was exhausting. Yeah.
We were like 20 minutes in and I was like, are we done yet?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired.
I saw that by myself next to these two old women who were complaining throughout the entire movie to the point where I told them to shut up, but they pretended they were too old to be able to hear me. And then they left a few minutes later, thank God.
They didn't want to be there anyway.
So they should have left much earlier.
Right.
But yeah, that movie is punishing. There were many moments in it where I was like, I wonder if this is going to end. And also I want to say I liked it. I've liked all her movies to varying degrees, but that one was just
I would say I like them until I give them good scores, but yeah, they're tough.
Yeah, the only one that I enjoy revisiting is You Were Never Really Here for Phoenix's performance. And it's like a little bit more of a dude movie of all of her movies. But anyway, Morvern Callar fit the bill. Jake had never seen it. Megan, I'm guessing you had never seen it.
No.
You'd never heard of it, had you?
No, I had to have you text me the name of it because I couldn't, like, in my brain figure out how to, what is
until
it?
You see it, yeah, until you see it.
Was it a place?
When I first tried to watch it last year, I fired it up on Prime and the transfer looked like trash. And then I brought it up on Roku and there was something wrong with the sound. And then I finally got it working on Canopy. It still looks pretty bad. Then I tried to find a Blu-ray and it's out of print and it costs a fortune. So really the only way to watch this movie and have it look nice is if your local rep theater, if you have one, happens to be playing it. So it's a tough watch, even just from like how it looks on your screen point of view.
Yeah,
kind of like
on Prime, and yeah, it looked rough.
I think there's a problem with it on Prime, but it's got it's like a 28 Days Later situation. It's very indie, very low budge about this woman who's in, I think you could say a bad relationship and also just like has a bad life.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend dies by suicide. He left a note, and there's actually this cool theory that he is the grown-up version of the little boy character from the first movie, from Ratcatcher.
Which I haven't seen Ratcatcher. That's the one I haven't I think that's the one of her movies I haven't seen. Yeah.
If you like watching kids be sad but take baths, that's what that movie's about, basically. And then she, does these different things of varying legality to spruce up her life. She goes on vacation. The movie reminded me a little bit in structure of Muriel's Wedding, actually.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is Muriel's Wedding, but weirder. Because like these two friends going on a vacation together.
I did not think that
didn't cross your mind. Like, she's got money that she shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Money, or she's trying to get money that's not hers to take this vacation that she would. I totally thought. I absolutely thought of her too.
Okay.
Boyfriend and boyfriend.
Yeah, you guys have the.
And then things unfold as they do in Lynne Ramsay movies. Megan, I'll start with you. What did you think of Morvern Callar?
Well, first of all, I watched this while I was at work, and I had several people ask me what I was watching. And it was just on my phone, so it's not like anybody could really see it. Like, I'd pause it, they'd be like, what are you watching? I'm like, Morvern Callar. What's that? It was okay. It was not my favorite movie that I've ever seen, probably. Yeah, it was pretty rough, and there were points where I was like, what are they going to do with the dead guy here? Like, what's going to happen with him? Because the days were passing, and I was thinking about what a body does after, like, day one even, and I'm like, girl, you gotta do something. And then she does. And then I about lost it. I sat there like this for like a minute and a half. And I went, oh, okay. So there's only one way this movie can go from here. And it's got to be up. So, and then it kind of does. It doesn't end on like an awful note, I didn't think, I feel like she makes the best of tricky situation. And having just watched Die My Love, like I pretty much compared the two in my mind the entire time.
Yeah.
And one thing that Lynne Ramsay does that I don't know if I love or not is those like really long takes where like the character is just like staring or like doing something mundane and there's like that loud music in the background. Sometimes I think it's really effective and other times I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, what's going to happen next? Like, is there a point to this? But I think I liked Die My Love more than I liked this one. But Morvern Callar has since grown on me since we talked about it last night because I was like, that movie was straight shit. I was like, I never want to see it again. It's
wow.
Like I did not like it at all. That was my first reaction was like, I hate this. I can't believe I just sat through this. I don't know. There was something about it that I just kept like thinking about it. And I was like, no, that was better than what I thought. It's like, I think it's just shocking. Like there are parts that are just like, whoa.
That's kind of the never did it special. I mean, if you don't just have it grow on you from time, like it did with you, sometimes talking it out and being like, wow, yeah, it does have a similar plot to Muriel's Wedding. Actually, exactly. And that's definitely the case. What you're mad her best friend didn't become paralyzed for no reason?
No, best friend has her own issues.
Muriel's Wedding is like kind of a white whale Blu-ray for me because it's either out of print or has never been released in the US. And there's an Australian version. And I do have a region-free player. But I've read that the way that this Australian disc was encoded, even though I have a region-free player, it still won't play right on my player because of something with how the sound was encoded. So I wait and I wait.
Oh, I thought you had it. I just said earlier today, I was like, Brad had to get Muriel's Wedding from Australia or whatever. I don't know, I assumed you had it.
I had a DVD of it like forever ago. And like I had it and I kept it with me, like even though I didn't have a player and like it didn't have a place to live and I didn't care. It was a relic. And now I think it's lost.
God.
DVD is much easier to get than the Blu-ray. Jake, what did you think of the movie?
I liked the movie. I liked it about as much as I like her other ones. For me, Lynne Ramsay, I think if I'm like ranking them again, I haven't seen Ratcatcher, but I think we need to talk about Kevin is probably her best. And then the other three that I've seen are all like kind of right underneath. I think they have the other three all at like 3.5 stars. It's like I like these movies. And for me, I mean, it's all Samantha Morton's performance. I mean, she's in like every frame of the movie, every single second of the movie, and she literally carries the whole movie. Obviously, she's the title character, but her performance, I think, is really good and really drew me in to the sometimes ridiculous choices that she was making and the things that put her on the path that she did. But yeah, I really thought she was terrific, and I kept coming back to. I know you mentioned this in your Letterboxd review too, but this was the same time as Minority Report came out, like right around the same time. So they were probably filmed right around close to the same time or whatever, and there's just couldn't be any more different in what she's doing in those movies. I thought it was interesting, and there's always in her movies like this one scene that's like completely not out of place, because it definitely makes place, but in this one we mentioned it earlier when she finally decides to get rid of the body. It's so like just beyond like anything else, because like the rest of the movie, like things happen to them that kind of makes sense and you understand, but like that part in the bathroom was the hardest part to like relate to or to understand what was good. I feel like there's always like one part of that in Lynne Ramsay movies, and that I was a little shocked when I saw it too.
I think that's fair. I mean, for me, I think I said we need to talk about Kevin. I probably like about as much as this and kind of feel as I don't want to revisit it as much as this, which is, makes it weird for having chosen it for this show. But I really wanted us to talk about Lynne Ramsay again in this season because she had the new movie out. And I think what she's doing is pretty unique in terms of what women directors are doing. You know, it's really uncompromised. She has a really bold vision, and her movies I don't think they look the same, but like Megan, you mentioned, they do sound the same in a lot of the cases. And they're dealing with a lot of like similar subject matter. And that subject matter is life is terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see her take on Frida, actually. Lynne Ramsay directs Frida.
All Frida in bed with morphine.
Yeah, it could be Frida like the last part of her life when she becomes addicted to morphine and she loses more of her leg and then she like loses it and like her paintings get kind of weird and
So I think that about covers it for Morvern Callar. For this decade, I was able to put together a top 10 list for women directors. I'll start at the end of my top 10, and then I'll give you the 3 that would have been very high on my list. Maybe these 3 that are asterisks because a man and a woman co-directed them. They would all be in my top 5. But here are my top 10 pure directed by women movies. Number 10 is Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation. Just barely made the list. Number 9, Adrienne Shelly's Waitress, starring Kara Russell.
Yes.
Yeah. Love Waitress.
Me too.
I remember I saw that with my mom. We saw that I talked about the Traverse City Film Festival a lot. My mom came with me to a couple of movies that year. That was one of the ones she really wanted to see. And when we were waiting in line outside, it was shown at the State Theater in Traverse City, literally like a pie restaurant that's right next door to there all the time, Traverse City Pie Company. And they came out and like started giving away free slices of pie to everybody. It was, summertime. It's hot. It's wonderful. Great memory of that movie.
Very cool. My number 8 is maybe... I don't know how to deal with it, so I'm just going to power through. My number 8 is the Wachowskis' Speed Racer. If someone wants to get mad at me for that, then I'm glad that they were paying attention to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
My number 7 is Phyllida Lloyd's Mamma Mia, which I believe this is only the second time that movie has been referenced on our podcast because we talked about it when we were reviewing Dune, because there is a scene in Mamma Mia that looks exactly like the scene in Dune and is just bizarre.
Yep.
My number 6 is Drew Barrymore's Whip It, starring Elliot Page, a very cool roller hockey movie, and Alia Shawkat. It's a fun movie. I was surprised that more people didn't like it then, or even talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it came out. Like Pitch Perfect catch on, but Whip It didn't, know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're different, but, I feel like I could see them both kind of, catching on.
My number 4 is Sharon Maguire's Bridget Jones' Diary, which I just watched for the first time recently because we marathoned all 4 movies. And I know that you two were supposed to do the same, and I don't know what happened there.
We waited a few months. I waited a few months for Megan to watch it.
We're quitters.
Yeah, for Megan to watch it. Then I just watched it on my own, and I quite liked it.
Good for you.
The 4th one's pretty good.
First one's good. Second one's also good. Third one's not good. Fourth one's very good. My number 3 is Nora Ephron's Julie and Julia. Half of a great movie and half of an okay movie. And together they make a pretty good movie. I really like it a lot. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that was Nora Ephron's last movie, or maybe did Bewitched come out after that?
Bummer.
Yeah. I mean, she died tragically young, but I mean, not like crazy young, but like, I guess she was 71. Still, that feels too young. A great movie to go on. Made me fall in love with Stanley Tucci.
Yes.
The Tooch.
Oh my God. I can't watch that movie like late at night because I just get too hungry.
Oh.
Like I watch I watch her cooking all this food and I'm like, butter, mushrooms. I want to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I just watched Big Night for the first time recently. An amazing double hitter, those 2 movies, because they're both just like big food Tucci movies. That was my number 4. I said it was my number 3, but it was my number 4. I screwed up the numbers. My number 3 is Nancy Meyers' Something's Gotta Give, which is one of Jack Nicholson's last great performances. He had a few after that, but not a lot.
Yeah, I know Departed was after that.
Name another one.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because the other movies he did, I think, was like Bucket List, which was trash, and that last one he did, the James L. Brooks movie, was really, really quite bad. I heard Element K is not much better, so that's a bummer.
Yeah, and this is kind of the same vibe. The Nancy Meyers verse and the James L. Brooks verse are very same vibe. It's just a more fun story, and Something's Gotta Give. And then my number 2 is also a Nancy Meyers movie. It's The Holiday, which has one of the best Jack Black performances ever. He's not like doing a good performance. He's just so lovable in that movie. It's wild. And I would love to know that he and Kate Winslet were together in real life. And then Cameron Diaz and Jude Law are hot as hell.
I just watched this movie a couple weeks ago when I had that.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, you watched it at the right time. It's a Christmas movie.
Yes.
And a Hanukkah movie for that matter.
It is. I reminded you of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and it is one of Eli Wallach's final performances. I love everything about that movie except for the fact that the whole premise is that, not the whole premise, but a big part of the premise is that there's this awards benefit for Eli Wallach's character, and he's not sure if he wants to do it. It's up to him to decide if the banquet will happen. And then like 2 days after he says, okay, we can do it, they put the banquet together. Like, that's not how events are put together. And then my number one, without an asterisk, is Mary Harron's American Psycho. Easy pick. It's just like the most heavy duty movie of this bunch. Now, granted, there's tons of movies I haven't seen this decade, but that was an easy one for me to pick as my number one. And then the 3 asterisks are Persepolis.
City of God, is that going to be one too? 03, Fernando Mierle, and then I can't remember the name of the woman who directed it, but there's definitely co-directed by women. It might not even, I don't even know if she appeared in the credits, but it's like widely known that she directed the movie with him.
Well, I didn't know it, so that's why it didn't get an asterisk. Yes, that would be my number one.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it before. It must have been.
We may have, but I don't know. Yeah. That would be my number one. Persepolis is directed by Vincent Perinaud and Marjane Satrapi, who we're going to talk about in our Oscar episode a little bit. Little Miss Sunshine is an asterisk. That was directed by Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton. And my number one, the one that I had number one, is a movie starring Jake Ziegler's doppelganger, American Splendor, directed by Sherry Springer Berman and Robert Pulcini. But there were dudes who got credited, so they didn't quite make the list. So that'll do it for the 2000s.
The zeros are aughts? Oh, yeah, aughts and then teens, yeah.
Yeah, aughts and, not aughts and teens, aughts and tens.
Tens, that's right. Yeah. I like to say teens.
I know, but then you ignore 2 numbers.
I know, yeah.
3 numbers, for that matter. 2 kind of sad movies. One definitely more crowd pleasing than the other, but both a bit of a tough hang. But yeah, this was a great decade for women directors, surpassed only by the decade that followed. Right. Sadly, this report came out that we're now on the decline in terms of women directing a share of movies, and it's reflective in the spreadsheet you just sent me, Jake. So that's a drag. But yeah, aughts were great. Meghan, thanks so much for coming on. Actually, before we go, what if you can think of it off the top of your head, what's your favorite woman directed movie of the aughts?
Oh, Marie Antoinette. Yeah, that one was pretty.
When did that come out?
To me,
that was 06.
Yeah.
Jake, can you think of what?
Yeah, Lost in Translation would probably be mine from that decade. I think I like that. And as we discussed, we both like that movie more than yourself. So yeah, that would probably be my top one of the decade. And then if we're including the co-directed ones, I mean, yeah, American Splendor is just, I love so much of that movie.
Yeah, look, I don't hate Lost in Translation. It's either my number 10 or my number 14, depending on how you look at that.
Yeah, it was 10. So, yeah. I mean, without looking and finding too much, yeah, I think probably Lost in Translation would be my top.
All right, cool. So we'll be back next week with please forgive us, a man guest to discuss the women directed movies of the 2010s.